I love learning foreign languages.
In fact, I love it so much that I like to learn a new language every 2 years.
In fact, I love it so much that I like to learn a new language every 2 years.
Currently working on my eighth one.
Currently working on my eighth one.
When people find that out about me,
When people find that out about me,
always ask me, how
they always ask me,
do you do that? What's
how do you do that?
the secret?
What's the secret?
And to be honest, for many years, my answer would be,
And to be honest, for many years, my answers would be,
I don't know, I simply love learning languages.
I don't know, I simply love learning languages.
But people were never happy with that answer.
But people were never happy with the answer.
They wanted to know why they are spending years trying to learn even one language.
They wanted to know why they wanted to know why they're spending years trying to learn even one language.
Never achieving fluency.
Never achieving fluency.
And here I come, learning one language after another.
And here I come, learning one language after another.
They wanted to know the secret of polyglots.
They wanted to know the secret of the polyglots.
People who speak a lot of languages.
People who speak a lot of languages.
And that made me wonder too, how
And they make me wonder too.
do actually other polyglots do it?
How do actually other polyglots do it?
What do we have in common?
What do you have in common?
And what is it that enables us to learn languages so much faster than
What is
other people? I decided to meet other people like me. And what is it that enables us to learn languages so much faster
What is it that enables us to learn languages so faster than others?
than other people? I decided to meet other people like me and
I decided to meet other people like me
find it out.
to find it out.
The best place
And find it out.
to meet a lot of polyglots is an event where hundreds of language lovers
The best place to meet a lot of polyglots is an event where hundreds of language lovers
meet in one place to practice their languages.
meet in one place to practice their languages.
There are several of such polyglot events organized all around the world.
There are several such polyglot events organized around the world. Polyglot events organized around the world.
And so I decided to go there and ask polyglots about the methods that they use.
So I decided to go there and ask polyglots about the methods they use. Polyglot. Will host okay.
And so I met Benny from Ireland,
So I met Benny from Ireland,
who told me that his method is to start speaking from day one.
who told me his method is to start speaking from day one.
He learns a few phrases from a travel phrase book.
He learned a few phrases from a travel phrase book
And goes to meet native speakers and starts having conversations with them.
and goes to meet some travelers and start having conversation with them right away.
By the way, he doesn't mind making even 200 mistakes a day
He doesn't mind even making 200 mistakes a day.
because that's how he learns.
Because that's how he learns,
based on the feedback.
based on the feedbacks.
And the best thing is, he doesn't even need to travel alone.
And the best thing is that he doesn't even have to travel a lot. He doesn't even need to travel a lot.
Today, because you can easily have conversations with native speakers from
Because you can easily have a conversation with native speakers
the comfort of your living room using
from the comfort of your living use, from the comfort of your living room,
websites.
using websites.
I also met Lucas from
I also met Lucas from Brazil,
Brazil, who had a really interesting method to learn Russian.
with a really interesting method to learn Russian.
He simply added 100 random Russian speakers on Skype as
He simply added 100 random Russian speakers on Skype. As friends.
friends. And then, seriously, and then he opened a chat window with one of them
And then he opened a chat window with one of them
and wrote hi in Russian.
and wrote hi in Russian.
And the person replied, "Hi, how are you?"
And the person replied, "Hi, how are you?"
Lucas copied this and put it into a text window with another person.
Lucas copied this and put it into a text window with another person.
And the person replied, "I'm fine, thank you, and how are you?"
I'm fine, thank you, and how are you?
Lucas copied this back to the first person.
Lucas copied this back to the first person,
And in this way, he had two strangers have a conversation with each other without knowing about
this way he had
did this back to the first person. And in this way,
two strangers had two conversations, had the conversation with each other. If he had two strangers, he had two strangers have a conversation with each other,
he had two strangers have a conversation with each other without knowing about it.
knowing it without knowing about it.
And soon he would start typing himself because he
And soon he would start typing himself
had so many of these conversations
because he had so many of these conversations.
that he figured out how the Russian conversation usually starts.
That he figured out how the Russian conversation usually starts.
What an ingenious method, right?
What an ingenious method, right? What an ingenious method, right?
And then I met polyglots who always start by imitating sounds of the language.
And then I met polyglots who always start imitating sounds of by imitating sounds of the language.
And others who always learn the 500 most frequent words of the language.
And others who always learn 500 most frequent words of the language.
And yet others who always start by reading about the grammar.
And yet others who always start by reading about the grammar.
If I asked 100 different polyglots, I
If I ask 100 different polyglots,
heard 100 different approaches to learning languages.
I heard 100 different approaches, 100 different approaches to learning languages.
Everybody seems to have a unique way
Everybody says they have seems to have a unique way
how they learn a language.
how they learn language.
And yet, we all come to the same result of speaking several languages fluently.
Yet we all come to the same results of speaking several languages. We all come to the same result of speaking several languages fluently.
And as I was listening to these polyglots,
As I was listening to these polyglots
telling me about their methods,
telling me about their method,
it suddenly dawned on me.
it suddenly dawned on me.
The one thing we all have in common
The one thing we all have in common is
that we simply found ways how to enjoy the language learning process.
is that we simply found a way to enjoy this language learning process.
All of these polyglots were talking about language learning as if it was great fun.
All of these polyglots were talking about language learning as a great fun.
Language learning process. All of these polyglots were talking about language learning as if it was great fun. You should have seen their faces when they're
As if it was great fun. You should have seen their faces.
were showing me their colorful grammar charts and
When they were showing me their colorful grammar charts,
their carefully handmade flashcards,
carefully handmade flashcards,
and their statistics about learning vocabulary using apps,
and their statistics about learning vocabulary using apps,
or even how they love to cook based on recipes in a foreign language.
and even how they love to cook based on recipes in a foreign language.
All of them use different methods, but they always make sure it's something that they personally enjoy.
All of them use different methods, but they make sure they always make sure it's something that they really make sure it's something that they really enjoy.
I realized that this is actually how I learn languages myself.
I realized this is actually how I learn language myself.
When I was learning Spanish, I was bored with the text in the textbook.
When I was learning Spanish, I was bored with the text in the textbook.
I mean, who wants to read about Jose asking about the directions to the train station?
Who wants to learn about Jose?
I mean, who wants to read about Jose asking about the directions to the train station, right?
Asking about the directions.
I wanted to read Harry Potter instead, because
I wanted to read Harry Potter instead because
that was my favorite book as a child, and I read it many times.
Harry Potter is my favorite book as a child, and I read it many times.
So I got the Spanish translation of Harry Potter and
So I got the Spanish translation of Harry Potter.
started reading. And sure enough, I didn't understand almost anything at the beginning.
And sure enough, almost didn't understand. I didn't understand almost anything at the beginning.
But I kept on reading because I loved the book.
But I kept on reading because I loved the book.
And by the end of the book, I was able to follow it almost without any problems.
And by the end of the book, I was able to follow it almost without any problem.
And the same thing happened when I was learning German.
And the same thing happened when I was learning German.
I decided to watch Friends, my favorite sitcom, in German.
I decided to watch Friends, my favorite sitcom, in German.
And again, at the beginning it was all just gibberish.
And again, at the beginning it was all just gibberish. Nonsense sounds of writing, like baby's babblism called gibberish.
I didn't know where one word finished and another one started.
I didn't know when one word finishes and I didn't know where one word finished and the another started.
But I kept on watching every day because it's Friends. I can watch it in any language. I love it so much.
I kept on watching every day. Kept watching every day. Because it's Friends. I can watch in any language. I love it so much.
And after the second or third season, seriously, the dialogue started to make sense.
Then after the third and third season, the dialogue started to make sense. The style started to make sense.
I only realized this after meeting other polyglots.
I only realized after meeting other polyglots.
We are no geniuses, and we have no shortcut to learning languages.
We're not geniuses, and we had no shortcuts to learning languages.
We simply found ways how to enjoy the process.
We simply found a way how to enjoy the process.
How to turn language learning from a boring school subject into a pleasant activity which you don't mind doing every day.
How to turn language learning from a boring school subject into a pleasant activity which you don't mind doing every day.
If you don't like writing words down on paper,
If you don't like writing words down on a paper, writing words down on a paper.
You can always type them in an app.
You can always type them in an app.
If you don't like listening to boring textbook material,
If you don't like listening to boring text material,
find interesting content on YouTube or in podcasts for any language.
I found interest content on YouTube or Pocket for any language.
If you're a more introverted person and you can't imagine speaking to native speakers right away,
If you're a more introverted person and you can't imagine speaking to native speakers right away,
you can apply the method of self-talk.
you can apply the method of self-talk.
You can talk to yourself in the comfort of your room,
You can talk to yourself in the comfort of your room,
describing your plans for the weekend, how
describe your plans for the weekend,
your day has been,
how your day has been,
or even take a random picture from your phone
and even take a random picture of your phone
and describe the picture to your imaginary friend.
and describe the picture to your imaginary friend.
This is how polyglots learn languages.
This is how polyglots learn languages.
And the best news is, it's available to anyone who's willing to take the learning
And the best news is it's available to anyone who is willing to take the learning
into their own hands.
to their own hands.